You are listening to a podcast produced by The Talking Mode. I'm your host, Sarah, and here is my co-host, Caroline.
Hi guys, welcome back. So today's special episode, it's about a recent global phenomenon that most of us have experienced, which is the Facebook outage. And today we're going to discuss all about it and what does it shed light on the current role of social media in our lives and the consequences surrounding this phenomenon.
So without further ado, let's get started.
First, we'll talk about some personal experience with this phenomenon. Okay, so Sarah, what is this Facebook outage, and when did it happen, and how often does it happen according to your knowledge?
So, to my knowledge, this global Facebook outage is the situation when suddenly all the Facebook and its like the whole Facebook empires, which includes Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, basically anything that's Facebook's own, was shut down due to maybe problems by like technical problems or any other conspiracy theory. I don't know, leaking information. I don't know. But yes, so that's when no one could get access to Facebook and the related platforms. So let's say, when did it happen? So recently it happened on October 4th, which is last Monday. And to my knowledge, before that, I've never experienced a Facebook outage. But from what I've read, I think that before in 2019, it happened once. And earlier in 2021, there was one too, but it only lasted for like a shorter span. But this time it's like 6 hours, which is really long, and it has disrupted a lot of parts of our lives.
So personally, about the outage in 2019, I experienced that. It was very kind of frustrating that, I couldn't contact my friends. Like, I remember back then, correct me if I'm wrong, but Facebook went out, and then also Messenger went out. So not Instagram. Instagram wasn't, shut down or anything. It's only Facebook and Messenger. And so I couldn't, even though I couldn't message my friends and on Facebook and Messenger, still we were still able to message each other on Instagram, so that's fine. But for this particular global outage, I feel like it's all like you said, it's all the companies or the apps that Facebook owns. So it's even more frustrating. So the next question is kind of dedicated. The few next questions are dedicated to you because, fun fact, I was sleeping when this happened. It was around 10:30 or something, right?
Right. Yeah, I did figure you slept by then because normally you slept really early.
Yeah, and so when I woke up the next morning, I was completely have no idea what happened. But so for you who kind of stayed up late, so what were you doing when that kind of occurred, happened?
Okay, so when I when it occurred, when I didn't know it's a global phenomenon or anything, I was in the middle of creating our Facebook page. It was the Talking Modes. I was setting it up and adding the pictures or designing all the the posts in prior. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the worst day because I picked the wrong day to, I don't know, publish our podcast to Spotify and Anchor. It was really frustrating because I picked a wrong date. Yeah, I picked a wrong date to decide to launch the Facebook page. I mean, it was late. I know it was late, but it was just some setting ups for the Facebook, so it was okay. But however, it's still 10:30, and I couldn't get across any of the platforms. That was really, really frustrating. So of all the dates, I wouldn't think, because I picked Monday, which I think it's very supposed to be peaceful and calm, and nothing much happened. But well, not knowing that it's a global phenomenon, I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I am really
I could imagine. Yeah, it's frustrating. Hearing like our friends tell me their kind of frustration. Yeah, I could understand to an extent, but like, yeah, like I said, I haven't experienced this situation where everything went out and not a single platform to communicate. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But like another question, what was your initial reaction?
Well, normally I'll check the Wi-Fi, but the thing is, I was opening like a lot of tabs
Mm-hmm.
on the browsers, and um, I sort of figured that it's not the situation with the Wi-Fi connection, because why other tabs could be open, and
Oh,
so this one is
okay.
like basically it doesn't work, and so what I initial thought was that I was hacked. I don't know, because I was opening a lot of tabs, and I think, and then like the morning before on Chrome, it appeared this thing when they said, oh, you kind of like you grant access to third party and stuff, and I think, oh, maybe that's a link, or maybe I
Mhm.
accidentally clicked to some of third parties, or um, some extensions that may cause harm. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh no, and then it was very
Interesting.
funny that I searched like, how do I know if I was hacked? I did this very so I did this very, very often, um because I don't know, maybe if that's not like the Wi-Fi situation, and I didn't figure that there could be a Facebook outage because I've never
Mhm.
experienced it before. Back then I didn't use Facebook as much. Uh, so yes, I checked, but I remember like, but then I saw that when people sort of telling that when they're hacked, there's something kind of like they still get access to their Facebook. However, something's wrong. But in this case, it's basically appear like a line saying I cannot connect to server or something. Yeah, I was like, I did all sorts of things. I log out, log in, and I didn't try Messenger though, because few hours, like, or like 30 minutes before that, our teachers kind of sent an assignment, and I saw, okay, so that still worked normally. But then I went to Instagram, and I see that no feeds could be low and refresh.
Oh,
So yeah, it's kind of strange, but still I didn't figure. Uh, and then
wow.
um, and then the time when I actually realized that it's not just me who experienced it is when I was turning in my IT assignments, like the Access, like for grade 12, we have Access, Google
Mhm.
Microsoft Access, and I was turning it in. I used a different laptop, my mom's, and then so I just search uh, Facebook because I need a link on that. Okay, so I figured maybe my laptop is a problem, so I use my mom.
Mhm.
Okay, so funny how it's when I search Facebook without the .com, there's an article that says Facebook was shut down. It was 14 minutes ago. Okay, I was like,
Wow.
now that's um, now that's a relief. Okay, so it's not just me. Okay, so this is cool. Uh,
Cool.
yeah, it was like, how cool is that? Everyone was like, it's a global phenomenon. Everyone was like shut down from social media. Think about that.
Wow.
So right, so great. Just not me. And okay, so everyone shares the pain.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting that you found out that you were not the only one through articles.
when I on Chrome, and then I type Facebook, and then normally they have like automatically it's like facebook.com, and I just click.
Mm-hmm.
But then on my mom's laptop, I just type Facebook without anything, and it just appeared that article like 14 minutes ago. So okay,
Yeah.
like okay, okay, this is no problem, whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting how, yeah, like I mentioned in the outage in 2019, I knew that I were not the only one through Instagram. Yeah, because back then Instagram wasn't shut down. But it's interesting how you found out that, yeah, through articles. And it's kind of funny, but it's reasonable because kind of Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram were the only kind of platforms that we communicated in. So
Yes.
it's interesting.
that leads to kind of like a situation when you kind of ask yourself, okay, so we have class tomorrow, and if this, couldn't like this whole situation, it's like didn't solve by then how can we communicate with each other? And I think Zalo maybe. And I was like, wait, but we don't have like class group on
Yeah,
that,
group.
and it's
Yeah.
I don't know. But then so one of my classmates, he quickly sent a link, like the group links to our English groups, which supposed to be has everyone in it, and he says, may I excuse for some minutes so that I can send this link to everyone in the class, he says to the teacher. And then we just got access, and then everyone was like there's like a whole explosion of messages, because no one could get no one could connect to one another.
Wow, he's kind of how could he do that like so fast? Like,
yeah, he was really quick to create group class and stuff. So that was kind of fun. We had a fun chat that night.
wow.
Everyone was like staying up late to 12 or 1 in the morning. It was all fun. And some of our classmates even said, Zalo is even better than Messenger. You can pin messages, and you can set calendar. So maybe we should just use here. And I feel like he's been waiting for Messenger to shut down for a long time ago to use Zalo. It was a very, very memorable like a day.
I wish I could experience that, but like, yeah, I couldn't because I slept. So it's okay though. Okay. So the next chunk of today's episode, we'll talk about, the role of social media in our lives, and, what are the consequences if such events happen. Of course, like this kind of outage had caused, tremendous loss for business. Like I read some business had lost like thousands of dollars in just minutes because they were doing some kind of contract and selling, and so it was very unfortunate of them for them to have experienced this during their work session, and also some personal inconveniences, like you said, that you were doing your personal things with our podcast channel, and then some other people were connecting with their family and friends, and it was very unfortunate. But again, it's a global thing, so it's kind of fair that no one had to experience this and the other didn't. What do you think, like, this outage kind of show us about the role of social media like within our lives? And what are the consequences if someday we woke up and there was no social media anymore?
So I think that if anything, this shows that basically the whole Facebook empire, like which includes Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, has played a very prominent role in our life. Basically, it's like an indispensable part of our lives. We cannot get rid of it. Just think about it. When we use this platform mostly to connect with our friends, our family, and then make new acquaintances. Also, apart from Facebook and Messenger, which it could be like still called like social media, but like WhatsApp, it's more than just a social media. So according to one of the articles that I've read, it's a public utility. Many of the business contact has been created and linked through WhatsApp. So that means that it's not on our like social media lives, but it's also the way that we use to make money. But then I think that if the world had gone back to the time when we didn't have social media, then so there's like two scenarios. One's that we have experienced social media, and then we kind of like then social media kind of disappear. And two is that we haven't. So in the second scenario, it's kind of easy, because then when it didn't happen, then it's normal, right? You still use some sort of like traditional ways to communicate, like emails or mails or like posts and stuff. But when we experience it and then we stopped, so that's like a whole new, like a different situation. So when you're like used to something, for example, now you're used to having likes, and then suddenly you don't. It's been like a really huge part of your life. It made who you like. It's kind of partly made who you are. Losing it, I guess that maybe like there will be like a really huge change in the way that people communicate. Say, I used to, text you through Messenger, and it's short, right? Everything is short. Everything it's it could be lengthy, but like because it's very instant, I could send you a message and then you receive instantly. And but then now, if we went back to that time, we sort of had to think very carefully about what we want to communicate for the people that are geographically further from us. So I guess that's the way, like it has to do a lot with language and ways people receive information, and then interpret information or like spread information. Totally changing. How about you? What do you think? The world had gone back to the time when it has no social media.
Yeah, I agree about the communication styles that would change, and also how we will have to adapt to the massive change, if it was to happen. Because as you said, we are so used to this, having social media, waking up and having, scrolling on Instagram or texting, and it's instant, and we cannot wait, or we don't like to wait. But I think, like, if we were to go back in time, I feel like people would somehow try to reinvent the social media, because as you said, for the first scenario where where we have experienced social media and suddenly we stop, then I feel like we would not stand that kind of feeling and kind of inconvenience. So I feel like in that case there would be room for more innovation and instant innovation, because we cannot stand having to wait a moment to send our message, or having to write a letter and send it by post. So there would be so many inconveniences, and I feel like we are so impatient that we would not wait, and we will kind of, like I've said, reinvent and kind of find other ways to to an extent resemble some features of social media. So it's very sad, I feel like, to think about that we would not want to kind of go back in time, like fully go back in time and change our communication style, because it's been so prominent in our lives, and that just show how crucial of a role that social media plays. But to an extent, it's very beneficial, like you get news instantly, like you said, like you search on internet, then you have article. But the Facebook app is just very convenient in that way, but also because it's so convenient, I feel like it's had gotten addictive. Not many of us realize that we are to an extent addicted to social media because it's so prominent. We feel like because it's so prominent, we don't usually recognize it for being addictive. We usually recognize it for being beneficial, and it's become a norm in our life. We don't recognize that it's a form of addiction, in my opinion, because it's a form of addiction. Then when it go out, then we would kind of cling to it and reinvent that kind of innovation, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm rambling. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the whole points when you're making about reading articles. Say now you have like all sorts of huge, journalistic company, but then how often do you go to those sites and read, rather than you follow them online, and then it appears to your feed and you just click on the link to
Absolutely.
it, right? But then now you have to find, like, you go to the New York Times or BBC, you it's kind of like it's not there for you, it's not always in front of your face for just to click through to read. Just now you have to go through time. It's like you're reading in the library, and now with the ebooks and thing, it's kind of like that. Everyone's don't have to spend so much time to search, but now they're going back to to those time when they have to crawl through bunch of information to find what they need. of you might know that one day prior to the outage, Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen, she has appeared in a 16 minutes interview stating that Facebook's ranking algorithm has led to the divisiveness and angry content. And then one day after the outage has occurred, she appealed to Congress and led a devastating truth that said almost no one outside of Facebook knows what happens inside Facebook. And then
Absolutely.
I think you said that she continuously claim that Facebook continues puts profits
Yeah,
instead of limiting hate speech and information, which is really against what Mark Zuckerberg has always said about creating a community on Facebook. So what do you agree? Do you agree on the thing that she's fighting for?
I'm not 100% against what she's saying, because and I don't know if she's saying the truth or not, because as she said, almost no one outside Facebook know what happened inside Facebook. So as we are like outsider, we cannot know what happens inside of Facebook, and what goes behind the scenes. So in a sense, her statement kind of makes sense to me, because again, Facebook is a business before it is a community. It is kind of a place for profit before it claims to serve the public. So profit for entrepreneurs, in my opinion, kind of outweighs other priorities, like community or like information or like truth and stuff. So in a sense, I do agree that Facebook puts profits ahead of their community and what Mark Zuckerberg claims to do. But at the same time, I'm not sure if her statement is somewhat truthful.
I think because Frances Haugen, she used to be I don't know, product
In Facebook.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
in Facebook for I don't know, tackling misinformation before she left Facebook, following the Capitol attack in the US. So maybe she presented a lot of evidence to the SEC.
Really?
Because I think that Facebook has undergone like a lot of scrutiny and cases like lawsuits for the past few years. And in a statement, Facebook also agreed that its platform has indeed included a lot of hate speech and misinformation, and it's fighting to eliminate those. However, it's just like it's not transparent enough for the users to know what kind of information they're being exposed to, because sometimes we call it like irreversible effects, right? When it's happened, it could not really be.
Yeah, I agree, but like, what makes the algorithm of Facebook so different from Instagrams or Twitters or TikTok?
So
Because when we're talking about angry content and misinformation, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, I feel like misinformation is everywhere. And so I'm not sure what sets Facebook apart on that kind of misinformation path than angry content, hate speech or something. I'm not sure where she's coming from, and what sets her apart and what sets her problem apart from many others problems with misinformation. So yeah, to an extent, I don't fully buy into what she's saying.
I guess that it has to do with the engagement based, I don't know, ranking, like posts which has more engagements, and it get appear to everybody's feeds, rather than something that has potential and without ads, like without boosting, then it kind of like really ranks really low. And I think even though that it's very, very obvious, because it's a business after all, right? Nothing is free. It has to be some kind of profits. But then I think like the whole point she's trying to make is that we are like a business. We are like a kind of like a profit making platform. With ads you can buy, and that means that even with some of the kind of like content that are misinformed, or like that excludes an ethnic or like a part of people, that could be published online too. You just need money, and that's like you could run like a campaign or like I don't know, an ad that basically racist ads or something. You just need money, and then it's across the whole Facebook, kind of like that. But like maybe it's more subtle, not like I'm saying, yeah. So that subtlety and I don't know, and lack of transparency, and with the Facebook algorithm, that's that kind of like paved the ways for so much misinformation and things that have caused people to lose their lives because of the content that is posted online. I guess that's the whole point she's making.
Got it. So she demands more transparency.
Yeah, like she's
like for any other platform. I feel like, yeah, transparency should be number one for any like other, like I mentioned, Instagram, TikTok. I feel like, yeah, what she does is kind of a wake-up call for all of us, especially the big giants in social media platforms, like I mentioned.
Like
yeah,
there's a point that Instagram's continuously posting things that makes girls, like young girls, hate themselves. Even herself, she said, and I quoted, she had lost a best friend because of misinformation that presented in those social media, and that's like the cause that she's fighting for. So I guess that whether it's right or wrong, misinformation is wrong. It's bad.
Yeah.
And that we should always be, say, self-aware when we read things online, when we because we don't know what kind of information we're supposed to, so we have to be careful with the things that we read, with the things that we absorb.
With only that, I agree, but like, yeah, her whole statement, I'm not sure. Okay,
so I think that's a very fun episode we had today, discuss
spontaneous episode.
It's also a special one. It kind of like falls out on our schedule. It's not part of it. Something that we experience, and we want to tell it to our podcastees. Yes, we hope you enjoy our episode today, and that's a wrap. So see you next time. Bye. Wait, tự nhiên bye vậy?
Bye vậy.
Okay, see you soon lại nha. So see you soon. Stay tuned, stay safe, and
stay awesome.
Bye.